Hello and welcome. This is the third in a three-part series we're doing on Ukraine, and I hope you've been able to watch the first two. If not, they're going to be on YouTube, so you can catch them there. We're taping today on April 4th, 2022, which is important to know with this topic, such a changing one. My guest today is a man who's working with people who are right on the front line, literally. My guest is Chris Kindler. He is the communications director for Alight, the nonprofit that you may know better as the American Refugee Committee. And they changed to the name Alight about 3 years ago?
Yeah.
About 3 years ago. Well, welcome, Chris. I have lots of questions for him, and so I'm going to be barraging you. First of all, how long has Alight been in Poland? Did you get there fairly soon after the invasion?
Yeah, our team has been on the ground there since the end of February. So the invasion started February 24th. So
right.
the
Oh, you
team was
really
there.
moved quickly then.
Yeah.
And Alight is known to do work in really tough situations all over the world, but not in Ukraine before, right?
Right, that's right, yeah. The last time Alight worked in Europe was responding to the Yugoslav wars in the late 90s and the early 2000s.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah, and some of our team members from those responses have actually been on our team in Poland as well. So that's an interesting fact.
In the countries you've been primarily serving, what would the maybe top 4 or 5 be, Chris?
Sure, right now we are working in Sudan. That's our largest program. We're also in Somalia and Somaliland. We are in Pakistan, Thailand, and Myanmar. Those are some of our bigger programs.
Okay, so when February 24th happened, and you're sitting here in headquarters in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minneapolis, did you have to pull people from other countries? I'm guessing you did.
We did, and that's sort of typically what an emergency response looks like for Alight. We happened to have our country director from Thailand was in the region, and so she was able to. She was the first there. She was able
to. In the region of Ukraine?
Sorry, yeah, and she was in Europe.
Close,
on leave in Europe.
Oh, okay.
So she cut her leave short and went to Poland. She was joined by a team member who works in Pakistan but is Polish. And we sort of pulled team members from the U.S. and from Montenegro, and just sort of an international team.
So how many are there now?
Now our team there is about 12 Alight staff people from around the world. Okay. But now we're also joined by Ukrainian staff, and then some volunteers as well. Ukrainian Americans or Polish.
So quite a big contingent, right?
Yeah. Yes.
I've been, just so sad about all the horrible things going on, and especially lately the atrocities. But I'm thinking of your staff and the volunteers. I'm thinking they must not feel totally safe, do they? I mean, it seems like it's such a tough situation. What's your understanding of their comfort level in a dangerous area?
Sure. I think to this point they've felt relatively safe and comfortable. We have a security team for Alight, and the security director really keeps a really close eye on sort of all of the activities in the region. Talking with other security directors from other organizations, or just paying attention to sort of all reports of different incidents and things like that. So he really has his pulse and his team on security in Poland and around Ukraine, but also, all of our programs around the world. So, if there's an issue where he doesn't feel comfortable, he might, ask the team to stay at their accommodations for the day. That hasn't happened in this response yet, but might be the sort of thing where they hold tight for a day or two and then they get back out to work.
I didn't know you had security people, but
Yeah.
that's kind of good to hear.
Yeah, and it's a necessary, very necessary function for the organization.
I bet.
Yeah, in the places that we work.
And do those security people, would they be akin to our, what would they be like in our country?
Gosh.
Like the people who work to protect the president? I mean, they're not out with the workers, are they?
Sometimes. So our security director actually was sort of in that vanguard, the first team that was on the ground in Poland, and that's a typical situation too. Anytime that we're working in a new place, or we open up an office in a new part of a country or city, he will go in advance and kind of stake out the situation and make sure that he's comfortable with where the team's offices might be or where the team is staying. So that's something that happens every time that we start a new program and sort of regularly reassessing that.
Okay, that's a whole nother skill set, isn't it, compared to the workers who are working directly with the people who live in the country that's going through the challenge.
I think the security folks who work in sort of the security function like that are typically more ex-military, or they kind of have that sort of skill set and background.
Skill level.
Yeah.
Thinking of the people coming from Kyiv, coming from all over, I'm wondering how you're hearing, in terms of reports, that the refugees have changed from the very early days in late February and early March to the refugees coming now, Chris. Are you hearing that there's a higher level of anxiety, fear? I was so struck in the beginning how calm people seemed. And I wasn't sure, are they in shock or are they just a very calm, kind of group of people?
Sure. Our team has commented on this. Definitely they've seen a difference from the first days being at the border to the last week or two. They felt that people coming across in the early days generally seem to have more resources available. More people were maybe coming to meet them at the border, to friends or family, to help them onto to bring them into their own homes or to help them onto sort of their next step. But now they've really been they felt that people feel more traumatized or distressed as they're coming across the border. There's not as many people coming, family and loved ones coming to meet them at the border, and they have fewer resources, generally, it seems. A lot of the folks coming now, too, are maybe people who the journey, any journey would have been more difficult for. They maybe were holding back in Ukraine, hoping that things would settle down and they wouldn't have to go. Maybe folks who are in wheelchairs or the elderly. So
did not want to leave their homes.
Not want to leave their homes and know that it's going to be a really difficult journey. And so the team has been seeing more individuals like that coming as well.
And it seems too, and maybe you can verify this, but it seems too there's a lot more air attacks than there were in the early days, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
So there'd be that sense of random, fear about some random kind of attack that way. And
Yeah.
I read that the trains turned their lights off at night, wanting to be more invisible, and just all the things that people are dealing with. It's overwhelming kind of to think, how would I react if I was in that situation? How would my family react?
Yeah.
You just don't know, I guess, until you put into that situation. Huh?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, no one leaves their homes easily.
No.
Everybody wants to stay as long as they possibly can at home. And then even when they, a lot of families, as they are fleeing, they want to stay as near as they can, so that they can go home as soon as they can. So, yeah.
The fact that more elderly people are probably coming now is an interesting difference, I'm thinking, isn't it? That they maybe have realized it's not safe to stay. I'm surprised in a way that almost everybody talks about wanting to return, which is not surprising, but the level of destruction in some of the places they want to return to, you just know that it's going to be years and years.
Yeah.
And feel such sympathy for people who have such hope, but yet it's going to be a long, long haul.
Yeah, one of our team members actually, her name's Nina. She's from Ukraine, and she comes from a community that was entirely devastated, and but she's now joined our team as a housing guide. It's what we call her, but so she's really, was her community or her home was totally devastated, but she's feeling a lot of hope, and she's really thankful to be able to be helping her countrymen.
She would be someone that the people, and we're talking about using the word refugees, but she would be so helpful because they would know that she would understand probably more than most.
Exactly, yeah.
We haven't told the viewers where your team is located, so tell us a little bit about Medica.
Sure. Our team has been located. Well, we've actually visited many different spots along the border in Poland, but we've kind of settled at Medica. It's in Poland. It's a small community of about 3,000 people. But it is
3,000?
3,000, yes.
3.
Yep. But it's the busiest border crossing in this Ukraine crisis internationally. So
why do you think that's so, Chris? Because is it where it is? I mean, where is it in terms of the border? If we look at north, south, east, west, it's on the west. I'm guessing northwest.
It's in southeast Poland, but it's kind of right in the middle of like sort of central western Ukraine. Yeah.
Okay.
And there's Lviv, a large city of almost 1 million people, that is pretty near Medica. So I think that's another reason. It's sort of right in the middle of the Polish-Ukrainian border, and then there's this large city right nearby. So,
but Lviv is far enough in that you couldn't be there because it's not a border, right?
Right. Yeah.
But Medica is.
Medica is, yes.
So, a town of 3,000, and you said to me earlier, I mean, how many million have come through your your area
The
there?
crossing, yeah. So 2.5 million have come into Poland from Ukraine, and it's been estimated that about 50%
So
have come
about
through Mediga. So over a million
million
people.
and a quarter
Yeah,
through a town of 3,000
yeah.
in that short a time. It's hard to fathom how they've handled that
Mm-hmm.
and how busy your staff must be.
Well, and we're not the only ones working there at Medica. There's one of the amazing, there's so many terrible things in a crisis like this, but there's some amazing things too. And one of those amazing things is how many volunteers and just really well-meaning and intentioned people kind of come out of the woodwork in a crisis like this. So we're working at Medica, but there's also volunteers from across Poland and Europe who've come and are responding there as well. And further, Israel and different organizations
And some from
across
the US, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So your team you're saying you're not there
We're not the
alone.
only ones,
No,
yeah.
No.
There's so
But
many
what are they actually doing for the people coming across there?
Our team?
Right, your team.
Yeah. So coming across the border there's sort of 3 different areas that we're working in. The first is we're doing the doable. So doing the doable is one of Alight's kind of core values.
Motto, kind of.
Yeah.
Doing the doable.
And it's kind of, there's so many sort of massive problems that we deal with, right? And it can feel easy to get bogged down in these huge problems.
Yeah.
But what we want to do is, while we work on solutions to those big problems, we also want to do the doable. We want to dive in with the sort of smaller actions that can be done and do those things. Because they may be small, but they feel really huge in people's lives. So at the border, we're actually providing a lot of relief items in Ukraine. So we've been sending food shipments to Lviv and to Kharkiv. Okay. And then we've been sending medicines and medical supplies to hospitals in Kyiv and in Sumy, which is in eastern Ukraine.
How do you spell that last?
Last one is Sumy.
Oh, I've not heard of Sumy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then sort of more at the border, we've also been working with an orphanage in Lviv too, with 600 children who, many of them have actually been relocated from other orphanages from eastern Ukraine
to be
this.
In a safer place.
Yeah. But that orphanage needed, support of food and medicines. A lot of the children are living with disabilities, so they needed anti-epileptics and anti-anxiety medications and things like that.
And additional staff, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think, so many people are doing so much on all sides of this crisis. So I'm sure that their team has been, could use a break.
So Alight is sending medical supplies and food and doing these kind of big doables, but at the crossing, are you providing food and medical supplies also?
At the crossing, we've provided some food. We've really been focused on warmth. So it's been pretty cold there.
Yeah.
I would actually compare it to, over the last month, I think, to Minnesota weather over the last month.
I was wondering.
Yeah, not our coldest, but certainly not, it hasn't been warm.
Not below zero, probably.
In the evenings.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it has.
Okay.
I'm sorry, not below zero, but
below
freezing.
32.
Yeah.
There's a big difference.
There's. So we've been working on trying to keep people warm. So that's looked like a lot of blankets, hats, socks,
Extra.
gloves,
Sweaters, coats.
that kind of thing, and providing it sort of on both sides of the border. So our team is providing it on the Ukraine side. People have walked for hours many people to get to the border, and then they have to wait at the border to be processed. And even when they do cross into Poland, there's some waiting outdoors there too. So really making sure people are staying warm through that. And then we're also have warming tents with beds and cots, so when people do come and they get to the other side of the border, they can nap and take a rest and recharge.
Are you able to accommodate everybody who wants to rest and lay down? I mean, I'm guessing if you've been walking for miles, almost everybody who's been walking in the cold is going to want to head to that warm tent.
Sure. Yeah, it's sort of there's different stages. So there's kind of the border crossing, and that's where we have warming tents and general people wait there to get a bus to a reception center. And those are, further inside of Poland, maybe in a little bit bigger city.
And would your group, you wouldn't have control on the bus schedule, I'm guessing? You're interfacing with the locals there, right?
Right, yeah. So we want to keep people warm and comfortable for as long as they're there before they get onto the bus to go to sort of the next stop at a reception center. And so people are kind of moving through these different stages in the journey. And then from a reception center, they might, move further into Warsaw or Krakow or different parts of Poland.
Not too many can stay in Medica, I bet.
No,
when it's that tiny.
Right, yeah.
How
and they
far
also
is Warsaw?
they want to move to a place where there's housing and where they might be able to find work.
Right. Very important. Yeah. About how far, Chris, do you know how far Warsaw is from Medica?
I believe it's about 5 hours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Drive.
quite a ways then. So 5 hours on a bus or a train.
Yeah.
Are the people, when they get to the crossing, I'm guessing the average person is exhausted, they're probably grouchy, they're tired. Are you hearing reports of a lot of negative behavior, acting out, fighting, that kind of thing? Or are people fairly
No,
calm?
we haven't really had reports of that. One of the things that our team is doing at the border is psychological first aid. So, they're really trying to be there for people as they sort of the first step or the first moment in the healing process, to just kind of listen to them and what they've been through. They might be the first person, that they're telling about what they've been through. So listening, sort of just validating through listening the experience they've had. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. I've thought that as I see these people on television, that they don't look as cold as I would think they would look. And I guess, maybe their coats are warmer than I am guessing, but it's been interesting to see that. And thank goodness the weather at least is getting a little nicer there now, right, too?
Yeah.
So that's not quite the impediment. Well, the amount of money that's got to be raised to support all these projects, is that coming via a light in terms of money that's already been raised, or are you putting out big pushes to bring in more support money?
Yeah, I mean, there's we did do a flash appeal last week to raise funds for the orphanage, and we did a flash appeal the week prior to raise funds to do the food distribution to Lviv in Ukraine. Did
you get good response?
We did, yeah. I mean, and I think we had a goal of 17,000 to raise for the orphanage, and we raised that in 5 or 6 hours, I think.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So the fundraising response has been incredible from Minnesota and from around the country.
We have literally 1 minute left, so I want to get your website so that,
Sure.
is that a good place for people to go if
That's
they
a
can
great place.
listen to you and say, I want to help here? I'm guessing the things they're doing, so impressive. Guessing we're going to have good support for you. So what is the website, Chris?
The website is wearealight.org. wearealight.org.
And by going to that, there will be a obvious place to donate,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
There's a
Yeah.
donate button, pretty right front and center.
Are you expecting to keep staff there as long as there is war going on there?
Yeah, we want to be there for Ukrainians as long as they need us. So we're, while we've been doing the doable and in this sort of emergency phase, we're also shifting to the sort of next phase in the services we want to provide. So over the last few days, our housing guides have been booking families into Airbnbs, usually for about a 30-day stay. So we're just getting started in this work. We've booked about 164 families, I think it was. But we hope to continue doing that. We're a partner of Airbnb.org, and so they've given us a grant to be able to place families in safe, secure accommodations. And so we know it's going to be a big need going forward, and we definitely want our team to be there doing that.
Housing is number one thing after you get across the border, almost, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Chris, so
Yeah,
much
thank
for
you,
coming
Mary.
down and filling us in. It's been fascinating learning more about what it's really like. Thank you for being with us. I'll be back again next week. Until then, have a good week.